What's up, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and today we're going to discuss how to create sustainable habits and how to create habits that you can, continue for years to come. And this is going to be a podcast for basically anybody. There's no real specific target market here, but the reason being is that I think everyone can get better at building habits, and everyone needs to work on it, including myself. So there is different techniques that you can use to, work on habits, build them, give you a better chance for success and give you a better chance to sustain them. And in this podcast, I'm going to chat about a few of those and then how you can implement them in your life. Okay, so to start off, basically what I'm going to talk about today are some of the main problems I see when people are trying to create a habit. I want to talk about different, ideas that you can use to overcome those issues. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about things that I've tried with my own clients and that have worked. Okay, and I'll give you a few more specifics on what I tried and how it worked out, basically. At least then you can see that how we implement them in my program or people that are working with me, and then give you a better idea of what you can do yourself to start to work on them. So to start off, the main problems I see when people are trying to create a habit, they're pretty simple when you think about it, and I'm sure we're all guilty of this. So I think people try to start by doing too much too fast, and what I mean is that we definitely feel this burst of motivation when you want to start a habit. Like, let's say you want to start running, or you want to start going to the gym, or you want to start having a consistent mobility routine. We often think, okay, well, for me to do that now, I'm going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. So I'm going to hit it every single day this week. And then Monday comes around, perfect, you nailed the first session. Tuesday, ideal, got that one in. Wednesday, you get it in, it's a bit of a struggle. Thursday, then, I'm feeling a bit tired, so I won't get Thursday in. And then there, you've kind of broken the cycle, okay? So that knocks your motivation massively. And once you break it once, it's easy to just avoid it after that, because it's like, all right, well, I broke it. It wasn't that much of an issue that I broke it, so it's not that much of a problem, okay? But that can start a cycle, and there can be a chain of events that you skip Thursday, you go Friday, and you say Saturday, even though you'd planned at the start of the week to do it, you start to take it off. Okay, and then that rolls on to Sunday. Monday comes around, you get your session in Monday, and then, all right, Tuesday, I'll actually rest today because I'm a bit tired after the weekend, and Monday session was tough. And Wednesday, then I'll go in, I'll do a small session. Thursday, then I'm probably gonna take Thursday off. Friday comes around, well, the lads are going out tonight, so I'll probably go out with them. Saturday, I'm hungover. And then slowly but surely, it starts to break down after that. Okay, so you can see there is a bit of a cycle in how it breaks down. A lot of the time, you won't just drop it all in one day. It's usually accumulation of events, and then you start to lose interest in it. And then you rely too much on motivation as well. And that's a big, big issue. That's another huge problem, is people rely on motivation. They say, I wasn't motivated to go today. Or I'm just not motivated to do it this week. But motivation comes and goes depending on your mood, depending on your environment. So many factors involved with motivation. And what we need to, exchange that for is, you're not looking for motivation. You're looking for discipline. I feel like Jocko Willock. Anyone who doesn't know him, he's a Navy SEALs instructor. He's very interesting. Definitely look him up if you're interested in it. He talks about discipline and how that is what it's about. You can be, if you lack motivation but you're disciplined and you just consistently go whether you want it or not, that's where you will make change. Then that's where you'll change your identity. Okay, so you are looking for an identity change when you're trying to build a new habit, because as you'll hear me go into, is that it's not just about building a reading habit, let's say. It's changing your identity to become someone who reads. That's the goal. You're not, let's say, playing football when you're younger. You're a footballer. Okay, so that's the difference. Once it becomes part of your identity, it's very easy to keep it in line. It's very easy to do it. And that's what we are aiming to achieve when we're looking at habits. And I try to incorporate this with all the clients that I work with, is that it's that change in identity, that you are not that person before, or that you were when you were injured. It's you are back doing what you want to do already, even before you are. You're just having a bit of a hiatus at times because of the injury. So I think that's a huge thing. We're trying to change identity, and the only way we can do that is to be disciplined. If we rely on motivation, you'll find that things will break down. You'll have high motivation one day, you might get 2 sessions done that day, but then the next day your motivation is down because you're tired and fatigued and you're pissed off or you're stressed out, so you don't get it done the next day. Then outside of that, the other problems that you'll see are not focusing on the basics and just ticking off the basic things. So instead of just, if you want to become a runner, let's say, instead of just running for 3k or 5k the first day, you start looking at all these really intricate ways of running, these really high level ways that you're going doing intervals or you're going doing tempos on your first day. Okay, focus on the basics and get that right first. Same with gym sessions. Focus on the basics. Get in, get your sessions done. Mobility, you don't need to try out every new mobility exercise that you see on Instagram and on TikTok and that. Just do the ones that you enjoy at the start. Nail those 2 to 3. Build it up after that. Okay. And then the last one is barriers. Okay. There's too many barriers in the way that are stopping you from doing that. And each of those barriers are going to knock your motivation and knock your willpower. And if you can remove a lot of those barriers, which when I go through this podcast, you'll notice that's what I'm talking about mostly, is how we can remove different barriers and how we can set you up for success. Then you'll find it a lot easier to incorporate that habit. A barrier would be like if you wanted to go training in the gym, you had to take your clothes and put them in the dryer, or you had to wash your clothes and then put them in the dryer, and you had to wait for that to happen, and then you had to wait for them to come out, and you had to fold them and put them away, and then you just take them out and put them in your gear bag. There's too many barriers there. By the time that comes around, it's 2 hours later, you're not going to go. Okay, so having your clothes folded and left on the table, and your shoes beside them, and you're ready to go to the gym as soon as you come back from work, gets rid of that barrier. It gets you into the swing of things straight away. Okay, so that's important, and it is really important to remove as many barriers as possible. And this is what I do with clients a lot of the time, is we figure out how we can remove barriers and set things up so they have more time to get these things in. Okay, they are the main problems: too much too fast, not focusing on the basics, too many barriers, and then no discipline to just keep ticking on. Okay, now James Clear has a book, Atomic Habits, and he summarizes a lot of these techniques in a good bit of detail. I've done a good bit of research myself on it, in that I was part of my thesis was behavior change, so I have an idea, I have a good knowledge of a lot of the things that he's talking about in that book as well. And in fairness, he does a great job of summarizing them and making them very practical. So if anyone is looking for a book and for more details on it, definitely check out Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's excellent, and it goes into a lot of detail on how to build them. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to use a lot of his headings as well, and how he describes them, because it's easy to take home as opposed to using the more intricate research language. So looking at the next part is basically, what's the solution to those problems that we've have above? What can you do to improve your likelihood to build a habit? Now, first one we're going to look at is making it as easy as possible. Okay, and as I said, I'm actually going to use James Clear's language or his headings because they're very easy to I guess explain. So making it as easy as possible is a huge one. What does that mean? It means removing obstacles and barriers in your way, and then starting small and building. So it actually takes care of the first two of the main problems that I often see. Now, when we look at we break that down in a bit more detail. Start small and build. Okay, what does that mean? It means that let's look at starting I'm going to move from exercise and I'm going to look at a reading habit, because it's something that I've built in the last couple of months. It's something that I've kind of built up to a good level, and I'm happy about it. I'm very consistent with it in the morning. But starting small is that, for me, I was a whore for getting up late. I would say, okay, I'll get up at 7:30, and then I'd end up getting up 7:45, 8 o'clock, 8:30 then some mornings. But I always had it in my head that I was going to start work at 9. But I found then, because I was getting up late, I just wasn't taking the time to do the things that I wanted to do in the morning, and I was going on my phone, or I was doing stuff that didn't need to be done. Okay? So what I started to do is I started to bring my wake time back, and I started to get up at 7:30 consistently, then 7:15, then 7 o'clock, then 7:15, and then 6:30. And I've been fairly consistent with 6:30 the last while, and I hopefully bring it back to 6 over the next while. But I wanted to do that because I wanted more time in the morning, first to myself before other people got out of bed, and that I'd be getting messages from people. And at the same time, I liked the discipline of getting up early and having a good start to the day, and then still starting work at 9 o'clock. I have a good 2.5 hours that I can do my own stuff before that, and I can enjoy myself before that. And a lot of times now I'll train in the morning as well, because I feel it really helps clear the head for the day. But basically, why did I look at that is, if I had said to myself, okay, I'm getting up at 7:45 and 8 o'clock some days here, but I'm going to just bring that back and I'm going to start getting up at 6:30 in the morning, that's going to last maybe not even one day. Like, I don't know if I would even get that to one day. Is that if I just jumped back an hour and a half my bedtime, I'd be so groggy in the morning and so tired that I'd either get up at that time and be tired all day and be pissed off. I would nap for too long in the middle of the day, or I would stick with my same bedtime and just be tired and groggy all the time, and then it would break down. So I started to bring it back by 15 minutes every day, and I found that was a great way of starting small. 15 minutes didn't make that much of a difference to me, and once I was disciplined in getting up, it was very helpful. Now, at times I still do get up at, let's say, 7:15 and that, and I break that habit a bit, but I have this thing that I don't want to break it 2 days in a row. So if I do break it one day, I'll try to nail it the second day. I'll be sure to nail it the second day. It's a bit more difficult at weekends, obviously, but it does give me time in the morning to start building up my reading habit. Okay. Now, looking at that allowed me more time. It gave me more time in the morning so I could start reading. So my routine became get up, go outside, get my sunlight in, have my books laid out already, and then I would just do my small bit of journaling and I'd start reading. Okay, and I wasn't under pressure to start work. There wasn't going to be people coming out bothering me at that time in the morning because they'd be still in bed. And I had removed a lot of the barriers and the obstacles because I'd already laid everything out for me on a table. I knew that I was going to be getting up earlier. I had built the habit of getting up early in the morning, or getting up at 6:30, which gave me more time, even if I was groggy for the first 15 minutes, to kind of stand out and take the sun in and then come back, drink a bit of water and sit down into it. I still got an hour of it. So it was a simple way of doing it, but I needed to take care of the overarching thing, is that the main thing for me first was I needed to bring my wake time back. Okay, because if I didn't, I would have still been getting up at 8 o'clock. People would have been getting up out of the bed and walking around and chatting. I would have had to start work at 9 o'clock. So if I hadn't, I guess, brought that wake time back, my morning would be a lot more cluttered. At the same time, I like to fit in a bit of coffee, and I use a cafetiere, I think it's called here, which is a bit awkward in the morning because you have to put your water in the bottom and you have to fill it up, and then it takes ages to boil. So I actually had to, and it takes a small while to prepare as well. But yeah, so that was another thing to it. I just needed that extra 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to clear my head. So that's what I did to start building a reading habit. Now, the reading habit was easy. I just started, once I had a load of time and everything laid out, I just started reading for 10 minutes in the morning. And I found that I never read for 10 minutes. I always read for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 40 minutes after that, because I had no distractions. If people were to be coming in and out and I was getting up later, I'd have a lot more distractions. I'd be kind of on and off reading. I'd be less likely to journal because I wouldn't want to be just sitting there people be talking to me and I'd be journaling at the same time. I wanted the free time, and that was a way of doing it for myself. Now, making it obvious is the next one. So this is, I guess, ties into some of the stuff that I just talked about there, is that preparing the stuff the night before so that when you get up in the morning, it's very easy just to fall into it. That's a huge one. So making it obvious, where I had the journal and the book left out and the pencil and the rubber beside it. I had my phone charging at another side of the room, different side of the room, that I would just have to pop up, and I knew once I turned off the alarm, I'd put the phone back down again and I would walk out. But for other people, this might be leaving out your gym clothes. Okay, this might be setting something on your fridge so that you know at a certain time you have to do it. That's another handy way of doing it. It could be that you lay out your yoga mat so that you get your mobility session in. Before you go to training, you lay out your yoga mat and the clothes that you're going to wear, so that when you come back, you can just fall straight into it. And there's so many ways you can do this. It's it's endless. You could leave out your yoga mat and then have your towel, and you may have your candles if you want to, all put out. You could set it up so that you do maybe 3 things in a row, that you come back from training and you go through your mobility session, and then you go into the shower, and then you have your bathrobe laid out so you can wrap up and sit out and watch a bit of TV after that. Okay, so there's levels to this, in that you can really build on it once you just start to make things obvious and leave them in your way so that you can't avoid them. Other things could be setting an alarm on your phone, and I know this works very well for people who need to get to bed, is that they set an alarm half an hour before they go to bed so that it goes off. They start to go through their bedtime routine, and then they'll get to bed at, let's say, 11 o'clock or whatever it is. The next one then is making it as attractive as possible. Now, what that means is that when you're looking to make it attractive, it takes 2 things. First, there's a reframing involved. So if you want to start running, but all you think about is how shy it feels to be running and how sore you're going to be after running, then that's going to be a difficult habit to start. So reframing it and getting a better idea of, okay, I'm running because, let's say, I'm a fit person. I enjoy the feeling afterwards. I can run with my friends in a couple of weeks. I can run a marathon. I can run a 5K at the weekend. Making it a bit more attractive and reframing it so that you can see the positives of it is the start. And then the second part of that is bundling things that are unattractive with something enjoyable. Okay? That anticipation and reward helps massively. Now, an example of how I'm doing this right now is that I have a lot of podcasts laid out here. I'm recording number 2 at the minute. I like to do it in batches where I get in the mode for recording 4 podcasts in a row. And I like to be in that frame of mind. I get them done, and it's not taking up a lot of time during my week then after that. Now, I actually really, really enjoy recording podcasts. I love doing it. But the idea of doing it and having to sit down for 2 hours and talk before that is like, oh, I'd love to just put that off a small bit later. So what I do for this now, in this particular situation, is that I have planned that I'm going to go to the sauna or the ice bath after this, and I'm going to get a massage. That's just the way I've planned it. So I've bundled these tasks together, which seemed unattractive on the outside. And as I said, once I get into them, I don't mind doing them at all. I actually really enjoy doing them. Then, once I finish this up, I know I can close my laptop, put the mic away, and I can head off down then to the spa and do a bit of ice, or jump in the ice bath for whatever, 10 or 15 minutes, and then jump into the sauna for 15 or 20 minutes and chill out then. Okay, so I know there's a reward after this, after getting this done, these things done. And I find that works so well for me with work, is batching things together and then having a reward once I do it. Okay, it's just a way of, I guess, I'm in a situation that I can do this. I know some people are working in like for somebody else or in an office and that, and it's difficult to do it. But this comes back to any type of a habit. If you want to, let's say, go for a run on a Saturday, well, go for your run and then plan something after it that's a bit more attractive. So, okay, once I have my run done, I can go for brunch, or I can meet friends for coffee, or I can sit out and I can watch a movie in the evening. Okay? And it's like, once I get this thing done, then I'm free to do whatever I want. But it's reframing that and having that in your mind of like, okay, I will get this done, and then the next I get the attractive thing after. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I do this for a lot of things. This is a weird one, but on a Monday, I have all my client calls, and then there's one restaurant, because I'm obviously living in Indonesia at the moment, in Bali. So we, like, a lot of the time we get food ordered in because it's pretty cheap to order it in, and it just saves a bit of time. But there's one restaurant, it's a burger place, that I order from every Monday, and I do it after the calls. So it's like, because I could be doing calls for 6 or 8 hours on a Monday and Tuesday, and at the end of the day, then it's like, okay, I've just set this up that I only ever eat there on a Monday, and when all my calls are done, I'm going to go and get a burger from this place. I know it's a weird one, but it's something that I do, and I find every time I get it, I love it. It just kind of sets me up, and it's like, all right, okay, that was great. Even though I have to say I do enjoy it, I enjoy all the calls. It's just it's tiring, like it's fatiguing. Now, how can you implement that in your life? How can you make things more attractive? Well, start to bundle things together. Bundle your mobility routine on a Saturday night with a bath. Okay? Bundle your cold shower with a coffee afterwards. Okay? These different things, once you start to do it, it's really interesting how often you will do it. And it's like, it just changes tasks that are unattractive at the time, or maybe they just seem unattractive from the outside, they become so much more attractive because you have something that you really, really enjoy doing afterwards. Then I would say make it satisfying. Okay, now this is similar to make it attractive. You want to set up a little reward for yourself once you've it done. Reflect on it so that you realize, okay, I've actually done that now, and that was good work. I'm happy that I've done that. In some situations, a reward for a run, and I'm not suggesting this all the time, but it's be something that I would do if it was myself. If I was going for a run now, which I haven't been for a while, I'd reward myself with like some type of a gelato ice cream after, if I'm being specific. It's very specific. But I'd reward myself with something after that run. Okay, like I was saying, I'll reward myself after this podcast with going to the spa. So it's just like you bundling them together so they look attractive from the outside, and then once you've that done, it's satisfying by doing something rewarding yourself. Other things that you can do would be, every time I do a mobility session, I'm going to put €2 in a jar, and then when you've at the end of the week, or it could be a £5 in a jar, whatever you want, then you look to buy yourself something, like get yourself some lunch, get yourself something online that you wanted. But it will make it'll make it satisfying, so that when you have it done, it's like, okay, box ticked, and I'm paying that forward. So rewarding yourself, reflecting on it, and saying, okay, I'm really happy that I did that, and I feel good that I did that, is a great way of improving the chances that you do it again. Accountability then is a huge one, and this is this is the kind of, when you're looking at solutions, this is one of the last ones I'm going to chat about, is that to really build a habit and make it consistent, one of the quickest ways you can do that is having accountability, whether that be to someone else or to yourself. Now, keeping yourself accountable comes back to the discipline side of things. You do need to be disciplined to get it done. And that's just holding yourself accountable to, I want to be able to sit at a party and play the guitar. Okay? So, or I want to sit with my family and be able to play the guitar. So that's, what that is. It's a very clear goal. So you need to keep yourself accountable to that goal. And the way you keep yourself accountable to that goal is being disciplined about having either a guitar lesson every week or practicing for 10 minutes every night. But it's about being disciplined. Now that's keeping yourself accountable. You can get somebody else to keep you accountable, and this is why coaching works so well. I feel is that it removes a lot of confusion for what people need to do. It kind of sets out a clear plan for what people want to get, or where they want to get to. And a lot of my clients will say is that they've tried a lot of things anyway, But it's the fact that I keep them accountable to what they have to do that really, really improves their chances of success. Because if you're doing it by yourself, depending on your level of discipline, some people are very disciplined, some people just struggle with discipline. If you're doing it by yourself, it can be difficult to keep it up. If somebody's holding you accountable, you feel like you're letting someone else down in a lot of situations. And because of that, then you are more likely to continue with that habit and build on that habit. So you can do it loads of ways. If you want to start training in Muay Thai, get a partner to go with you. Okay? And that way you're holding each other accountable to start training every day. This works really well with the gym. Joining the gym with someone so that you're both holding yourself accountable to getting sessions done each night. If one of you don't go, you're letting the other person down. And a lot of the time, by the time that happens, you've built a good enough habit of it that even if they do miss it, you'll still go to the gym yourself. So it's a really important one. But be wise about your accountability partners. Make sure that you're picking someone who is as interested in achieving the goal as you are. Because it will, just having someone who's going to just drop off at the start can give, you'll find yourself your self-talk will be like, oh, well, they stopped, so it's not that much of an issue. So find someone who can keep you accountable, or find a professional who can keep you accountable to your goals and what you want to get to. And that's really what it is. It works so well. There's other things like an accountability contract. There's websites for this that it's like, if I haven't trained in the gym 14 times this month, money is going to get sent to a friend. Okay, and I heard one, it was like, money is going to get sent to a non-profit that you really dislike. Okay, so for some people that could be, I don't know, I won't start naming non-profits that people don't like. There's obviously a lot of extremely good non-profits, but then there's ones that would go against other people's values. So that's the other side of things, is that, like, I don't know, going to a Nazi non-profit or something like that. I can't think of one. But that's a great way of keep people accountable, as well as once they tick off all their sessions, that money's released back into their bank account and they're okay. If they don't tick off all those sessions, it goes to something that they don't like or they don't want it to go to. That's a great way of doing it. I suggest looking other ways, but that's one way. I said I'd throw it in there. Now, the last part of this podcast, and I don't want to run on too much longer, is I want to talk about what I've done with clients and what's worked. And I've mentioned some of them as we go through this podcast, but I may as well kind of circle back and go through them again. So when we were looking at running in particular, I find a really good one that works to help someone to build a habit of running is to get them to send me screenshots of every run that they do. Now, I have the time set out, I have the distance set out a lot of the time, and I want them to leave me notes on where they're feeling it, because most of these people have injuries related to their sport. But with the screenshots, it really, really works, because when we jump on the call the next week, I will know if I got the screenshots or if I didn't get the screenshots. Okay, so it keeps them accountable to it, because it's like, as they get closer to it, and I've had it that people have let's say we're supposed to get 3 calls in, and they have had a busy week, and then they get two runs in on get 3 runs in. They get 2 runs in on a Saturday, and they get 1 in on a Sunday, just to get the screenshots of the runs. Now, I don't recommend you do that, and usually I'll talk them through this and kind of plan it out a small bit better. But the accountability side of things works so well with the screenshots, because it's like, you've either done it or you haven't. You don't forget to, if you've done the run and you didn't want to do it, you're not going to forget to send the screenshot. So I find that really, really works. Then another one would be like, if you get over 3 runs this week, we will have an easier session early on next week. So you can skip a session, or we can plan a nicer day that you do something else that you enjoy. Outside of like the gym or outside of running, it could be that you go bowling or something like that after it, once you get your 3 runs in. Okay, so these things as well work so well. Next one would be like walk before running, or using like a run walk. So walk the trail that you're going to run, and if you feel like running some of it, there's no problem. Do that as well. There's no issue with that. And then they'll get dressed up. They'll just be going out for a walk, and you'll find that they'll run 500 meters or a kilometer or 2 kilometers it's a really good way of just getting over the initial barrier of, I have to run 5k. Okay, or I have to run 3k. Usually I don't start people out on a 5k run. I have to run 3k, but I'm going to walk 3k and we'll see what it's like first. But while I'm walking it, I may as well start jogging a small bit. And when I'm jogging it, I might as well run it. So that one works so well, the run walk, and kind of removing that. Okay, you can go, and it works. I know because it works on me. I'd be like, I'm just going to go to the gym to do an easy session. And once I'm there, I'm like, I'm here now, so I may as well get a proper session in. So that one works really well. Setting it the bar a small bit lower for yourself some days, and then when you get in there, actually smashing it out. But that's something that you have to do in advance. That's not something that you do on the day usually. You can do it on the day, but you don't want to get into the habit of easing off when you have something planned. Discipline is important. For water, the screenshot as well, or just writing to me every day and talking or writing down what they actually drank that day. That one works really well. For getting gym sessions in and mobility sessions, the app that I use works perfectly because they can tick it off. They can tick off the exercises that they've done. Sometimes when people are stuck or they have a busy schedule, I say I want you just to tick off 2 exercises that day, and at least then I can see if they tick them off, and it works really well. So they get on it, and a lot of the time when they tick the 2 of them off, as I said, they just start getting into the rest of them and they get them all done anyway. Other things would be like stacking habits together, and I may have talked about this earlier on, having like if you want to start building a meditation habit, you could say that when I brush my teeth, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. And this one works really, really well because it removes a lot of barriers and you know what you're doing straight away after. Now there's a lot more in these, and a newsletter that I put out all last month. If you are on my newsletter, make sure to check those out. I talk about each of these individually, but habit stacking is a really, really good one for building up I guess you can build up a stack of habits in that, like when I go to the gym, when I brush my teeth, I'm going to do a 10-minute meditation after that. I'm going to journal for 5 minutes. So it's 1, 2, 3. You know you're going to brush your teeth anyway. Okay? Well, I hope you do. So you can just layer that on top of it. It could be that when I drink my coffee in the morning, I'm going to take 5 minutes to jot down my to-do list of what I have to do that day. Okay, so it's connected. You know you're going to drink your coffee in the morning anyway. It's already a habit that you've built. So just connect other habits to it, and it makes it a lot easier to fall into it. Then, as I said earlier on, laying the clothes out works so well, surprisingly well, to be honest, laying the clothes out for the gym, because it's nearly like you have to go against yourself when you see them there and you don't do it. What I do for me is, like, if I know I have to record all these podcasts, I was doing jiu-jitsu this morning, so I had laid out my microphone and the laptop and everything set up. I'd already all the podcasts planned, so I knew when I was coming back, it's just getting into it, and it just helps me a good bit as well. And then planning fun rewards. This works really well for clients in that, as I said earlier on, once you get this done, once you get 3 runs in this week, we'll plan out a hike, or we'll plan out maybe going bowling or trying out something new like a dancing class or something like that. Okay, fun rewards go a long way because it's like, I'm doing this so I can try out something new and something fun. It really, really helps. But guys and girls, that is everything I wanted to chat about today. Hopefully you picked up something from that, and hopefully you have a better idea of what you can do to build a better habit. So the main ones were make it as easy as possible, make it obvious, make it attractive, satisfying, and then have somebody hold you accountable to it. With all of these, it doesn't work without discipline. So scrap motivation and be disciplined. Okay? Be as disciplined as possible, make it as easy as possible, and remove as many barriers in the way by habit stacking, by starting small and building, by focusing on the basics, by bundling unattractive tasks with something enjoyable. And you'll find that it'll be a lot easier to start doing the things that you want to do. But yeah, that's all from me today, guys. I would say also, please, if you're listening to this on iTunes, I'd love if you could leave a review. It goes a long way in promoting the podcast and ranking the podcast higher, as well as if you could rate it as well. There's like those stars, so just pop them in. It takes 2 seconds and 2 minutes even to leave a review. I really, really appreciate, though, if you could do that. Outside of that, if you subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify or YouTube if you want to. And lastly, if you could send this podcast to a friend, or if you could post it on your story, I would be delighted. It really, really helps me in promoting the podcast and getting the podcast to people who are interested in listening to it. And hopefully it provides enough value that you feel that it would be suitable to sending it on to a friend. And if it doesn't, let me know. Send me a message on Instagram about something that you would think that I could add into it to make it a bit more valuable for you or for other listeners. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all. I will chat to you all again soon. Have a good one.